She hit my son with her car, and then stood there crying, saying it was his fault. 14 years old, walking home from school, and she said he walked recklessly. But the camera showed everything: her smile, her foot pressing the gas, the look in her eyes before impact. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. This was revenge. It all started with something so small you'd laugh if it hadn't turned into hell. A football. My son Daniel and Karen's kid Tim were tossing it around on our front lawn. I'd told them 100 times not to play near the driveway, but boys are boys. Grass is endless, windows are unbreakable, and moms worry too much. Then one kick went wild, and that ball flew straight into Karen's brand new white Lexus. The sound of that windshield cracking felt like thunder. Daniel froze. He knew what it meant. Because in our neighborhood, one thing was certain: you could fix a car, but you couldn't fix Karen's ego. When I got home, Daniel was pacing, face pale, hands trembling. "Mom, it was an accident," he whispered. I wanted to be angry, but I was more afraid not of the damage, but of what she'd do. See, Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was the HOA president, the kind who took pictures of trash cans left out 5 minutes too long, the kind who'd file a complaint because your mailbox paint didn't match the aesthetic of the community. Still, I told Daniel we'd do the right thing. We'd go over, apologize, and pay for the repairs. Maybe it'd calm her down. Maybe. That evening I walked up her pristine walkway, every hedge trimmed into perfect little cubes, like she'd measured them with a ruler. Her porch lights were on, warm and inviting, but I swear the air felt heavy. When she opened the door, she wasn't angry. She smiled. That's what scared me. "Kid's right," she said, laughing lightly, waving her hand like it was nothing. I offered to pay. She refused twice. Said her insurance would handle it. Then she offered me juice, invited me in, sat me at her marble kitchen counter like we were friends. I remember thinking how odd it was, the calm, the sweetness, the way she kept checking her phone. It felt rehearsed. I left that night with an uneasy stomach. Daniel was relieved when I told him she wasn't mad, but I couldn't shake that smile. Karen never let anything go, especially not something that made her look weak. 3 days passed. The kind of calm that makes you believe things are fine until they're not. Thursday afternoon, Daniel was walking home from the park. Hoodie on, earbuds in. The sky was gray, the street quiet. Karen was behind the wheel of her Lexus, creeping down the street. Witnesses later said she slowed when she saw him, watched him cross. Then she hit the gas. The screech of tires. A thud. Screams. Packages dropped. Phones pulled out. Mrs. Adams from across the street called 911 before the dust even settled. I was at work when my phone rang. "Your son's been hit," the voice said. "The driver." It was Karen. I don't even remember the drive. Just sirens in my head and the world spinning. When I reached the scene, the ambulance was already there. Daniel's body was small on the stretcher, his arm twisted, blood on his hoodie. Karen stood by her car, mascara running, shaking her head. He walked into the road. "I couldn't stop," she sobbed. But people were whispering. I caught words like "sidewalk on purpose," smiled. At the hospital, the doctor said Daniel was in a coma. 2 broken ribs, a fractured leg, head trauma. I sat by his bed, holding his cold hand, feeling something inside me twist, fear, rage, guilt, all tangled. I kept replaying that fake smile, that glass of juice, that kids will be kids. It wasn't forgiveness, it was the setup. She'd been planning this. I wanted to scream, to tear the world apart, but all I could do was stare at the machines keeping my son alive. Days blurred. HOA meetings continued like nothing happened. People avoided me in the grocery store, pretending not to see the woman whose son got run over by the president of their precious neighborhood association. At one point I started to believe her. Maybe he did step into the road. Maybe I'd failed him. Maybe I'd made her angry by confronting her that night. The guilt crawled in like poison. For a while I almost let it win. Then one evening Mrs. Adams knocked on my door holding a USB drive. "You need to see this," she said. Her porch camera had captured everything. The footage was clear, too clear. Daniel on the sidewalk. Karen's Lexus easing forward, pausing, then lunging. You could see her face through the windshield, focused, deliberate, cold, and then just before impact, the faintest curve of her lips. I took it to the police. They watched, went silent. Then I took it to a lawyer. He didn't even blink. "We'll go for attempted murder," he said. Once the video leaked, the neighborhood exploded. Everyone saw it. HOA group chats blew up. Karen went from queen to pariah overnight. But I wasn't celebrating, not yet. Because this wasn't gossip for me. It was war. The investigation peeled back layers of her cruelty. Emails to the HOA board calling my son reckless. Complaints about dangerous play on our lawn. Texts to her friends saying, "He'll learn respect soon enough." She even made fake HOA violation letters about our trash cans and flower beds, all signed under her authority. Every document, every lie, all part of a pattern. Then came court. Karen sat there in a beige suit, hair tied tight, face blank, like she was the victim. Her lawyer talked about bad angles, unfortunate timing, and an optical illusion caused by glare. But the prosecutor played the video frame by frame, the steering angle, the acceleration, the moment her car swerved toward Daniel. The jury watched in silence. You could hear a pin drop. Mrs. Adams testified. The delivery driver described how Karen sped off and how he chased her down to get her plate number. Daniel's friends told the court how Karen had been harassing him for weeks, calling him that troublemaker kid, filing HOA warnings about youth vandalism. Then came the defense's final lie. Karen took the stand, tears streaming, voice trembling. I didn't see him," she said. "I thought he was crossing. I tried to brake." The prosecutor leaned forward. "So you didn't see him, yet you admitted in your statement that he cracked your windshield 3 days earlier." Karen froze. He continued. "You didn't see him, but you recognized him." No answer. Then the video played again, zoomed in, the split second before the hit. Her eyes locked, her lips smirked. I didn't breathe. When the verdict came, it wasn't shock, it was relief. Guilty. Attempted murder. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 22 years in prison. $15,000 in fines. $600,000 in restitution. And the HOA stripped her of her title that same day. I remember watching her as the deputies cuffed her. She looked around the courtroom like she still couldn't believe her power was gone, like she was trying to find one last person who'd defend her, but no one would even meet her eyes. When she passed me on the way out, she whispered, "You think you won?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her and said quietly, "No, I think you lost." After that, things changed. The neighborhood felt different, quieter, humbler. The HOA started listening instead of controlling. People left flowers outside our door. Small cards that said, "Justice for Daniel." He woke up weeks later, weak but smiling. The road ahead was long therapy, recovery, nightmares. But he lived. That's more than Karen's heart ever did. And me, I still drive past that stretch of road sometimes. The tire marks are gone, but I can still hear the echo, the screech, the impact, the silence after. That silence taught me something. Power doesn't make you invincible. It just reveals who you really are when you think no one's watching. And if there's one thing I've learned from Karen, it's that some people don't need enemies. Their ego does the job for them.